Hello guys, how is it going? AlexTheGrumpyOne back with episode 3 on the Celica. So today we're going to be doing a cooling system, and in that we're going to include testing the coolant that you got in it now using a tool. That's nice and easy. I'm also going to be doing a block or head gasket test as well. Will be interesting to find out what's happening with this one. We'll be draining the coolant system fully. I'll be removing and replacing the thermostat, which should be handy as well. And I also will be filling up the system, obviously bleeding the system properly. I've seen that quite a few people had an issue with the bleeding on this. After bleeding, they've still got air. And I'm going to show you today what you actually need to do to get rid of all the air in the system. The reason for that is due to design, it's slightly harder to get rid of the air in there. But I'll show you today how to do that, guys, so there's no stress on that one. And yeah, guys, if that is something that you're interested in, then definitely don't forget to give us that subscribe and like. And let's carry on with the job now. Right guys, so I think I'm going to start by checking the coolant. Obviously make sure that it's not hot. Undo the cap because you don't want the pressure to come out of there and burn you. And here we got this lovely little tool from Draper. You can get one for around £10, which I think is great. So squeeze that in, get the fluid out of there, obviously the coolant in this case. The previous owner said that he'd done a thermostat not long ago, but I will be replacing it anyway because the coolant doesn't really look as pink as it should. And only one of the discs, let me just get rid of the air. Yeah, only one of the discs is floating properly, so that's not exactly a very good coolant in there, according to the instructions. So, and yeah, it doesn't look as great as well. So that's just perfect today that we're going to be replacing the coolant anyway. So as you can see, this tool is nice and easy to use, guys. It shows you the strength of your coolant. Ideally, you're looking for at least, I would say, 3 discs to be floating there. But yeah, there you go, guys. That's the first test done. Right guys, so here I got the kit, combustion leak kit. So like I said, the head gasket test kit, I would say. So you get the liquid there, the blue liquid, and the tool that you're going to have to put into the radiator cap, or in this case, reservoir cap for the coolant. So you need to take the cap off before you start the car up, because you can't take the cap off when it's hot. So just start the car up, let it run to normal operating temperature, make sure it's nice and hot. Because then the engine expands and obviously all the imperfections will be more clear. It will get into the coolant if there is a leak. So what you do is take this apart. There's a level there, depending on your kit obviously, there's a level that you fill up with this liquid. Leave it there. So once it's warm enough, you're going to squeeze that with the liquid inside. Let the air come in from the coolant, and if there is a gas leak, it will start changing color from blue to yellow or green, obviously depending on what type of the liquid you got, but it all will be in instructions anyway. So what we have to do now, guys, is, like I said, take the cap off of the coolant. I'm just going to take that off quickly, put it somewhere safe, and start the car up, and obviously let it run till it warms up. Right guys, so the car has been running now for 10 minutes, it's on 90 degrees, so we're ready to do the test. Like I said, the cap was off, so we can put the liquid in here now. Like I said, slightly different, testers might have different marks, but we've got the mark there. So just fill it up. Get the top back on it. Right guys, so like I said, here we've got the level there. The fluid is on the level, it's blue. Leave the car running and start getting the air out of there. You can rev the car up to see, obviously, give it a bit more heat, see if you're gonna make any difference, just to be extra safe, I suppose. But yeah, look, we've got all the air coming in and the liquid is still blue, which is great news. Let me just zoom it in for you, and I'm gonna give it a few revs, see if it makes any difference. So there we are. As you can see, it's sucking all the air in. Now I'm gonna give it a couple of revs. Right, so the liquid is staying blue. That's great news, guys. Right guys, so here we have turned the car off now. So the liquid stayed blue. That's great news for me. Obviously there's no head gasket issues, so I'm definitely happy with that. I would say, guys, I definitely recommend getting a kit like this, especially when you're looking to buy a car or even if you're checking yours. I'm going to put the link in the description below because like I said, there's different tools that you can use, but this one, we use this a lot before, and obviously this never failed. If there is an issue, I'm actually doing the engine rebuild at work now, and that failed that engine, and yeah, the head gasket is definitely gone on that. So yeah, definitely recommend having a tool like this, guys. And for us on this project, happy days, there's no head gasket issues. Right guys, so at this stage we're ready to drain the coolant now. All you have to do is make sure the car is not hot, take the cap off as we've done previously, and obviously go out with the car, or if you're just jacking it up, if you haven't got the car lift, and undo the bleeder at the bottom of the radiator. Just to let you know, guys, according to the instruction, there is an engine drain plug on the engine coolant drain union on the block there, so it's on the rear left of the cylinder block, and it should help drain the coolant. But I'm more than confident that what we're doing today here with just the cap and the drain plug at the bottom will be more than enough to drain the whole system. Right guys, so we got the car up in the air. I just want to let you know that the drain plug is there. So it's going to come out from there, the coolant, and the actual plug is on the left side there. You can get your hand in there, you'll feel it. Just a plastic drain that you have to turn anti-clockwise, and you're going to start dripping from there. You can get this out of the way if you want to make it easier to get your hand in there. And also what I was going to say is, in some case, if you can't undo it there, you can also undo the coolant hose that I'm going to show you now. So like I said, on the other side you got this coolant hose there that you can take the clip off and obviously pull the hose off and it will drain it through there. This is just in case you can't undo the drain plug on the other side. Right, so let me try and get my head in there and undo it. Just move that out of the way slightly. Don't undo it obviously so it comes out all the way, just undo it enough so the coolant gonna start coming out. It's a bit tricky to get it undone, but I think I'm getting there. There you go, guys, lovely. So just let it drain now. It's gonna take a while. Right guys, so it's been draining for about 10 minutes now. I think most of it is out now. I'm gonna close it. Don't forget obviously to close it now after it's all drained. Make sure it's tight and obviously double check afterwards that it's not leaking. Yeah, that feels good. Right guys, so at this stage, or once you've done up the drain plug, you would have to undo the bolt here to move the airbox slightly off, and undo this bolt that holds the bottle of coolant, because you have to fill it up and lift it up and probably leave it somewhere here around this area above the engine, hang up with something and put about 3-4 liters of coolant in there and leave it hanging, because the design of the engine is above the bottle here in this case, so you need to make sure that the bottle is going to be above the engine. And the whole system, just to let you know, will take about 6 liters of pink coolant, so that's how much coolant you're going to need for the job. But I will be doing that later, because at this stage I want to show you how to replace the thermostat. So for that I will have to remove the alternator, because it's just behind there. I mean, you probably can do it without removing the alternator, but I want to take it off so it gives you a better image of obviously what's happening there and what you need to do. Right guys, so the coolant is out and we're going to be replacing the thermostat now. So it's located behind the alternator down there where the coolant hose goes to. So like I said, we will have to remove the alternator, and to do that we will have to take the auxiliary belt off first, for which you're going to need 19. I'm going to show you. There is a tensioner there that you have to release. And you can see that 19 there. Let me just point the light there. And I'll try and zoom it in because it's a bit complicated place to get to. So it will be that there, the 19 nut, which is obviously part of the tensioner that you have to get on. It will be very tight, guys. There is a special tool that you can use for the tensioners, for the auxiliary bolt tensioners that you can get, but I will be doing it with a couple of spanners, but that's the nut they have to get on to release the tension. Right guys, so here we are. I've got two spanners, obviously 19 on there already and the other one on it. I wouldn't recommend doing this, guys. This is a bit tricky to do it this way. I would try and recommend to get a proper tool to get on there. I'm trying to get a socket with a ratchet, so you have to pull it clockwise and then remove the belt off of there. It probably will be easy if you remove it off the water pump pulley that's just below the alternator, because when this pulley is bigger, it will be easier to get the belt off and on. So let me give it a pull. Like I said, it's going to be very tight. There you go, that come off of the water pump and the alternator, and I just release it back. I'll leave the spanner there ready for when I'm putting everything back together. Right guys, so once the belt is off, to take the alternator off, what you have to do is take this cover off. You're going to have 10mm there that you need to undo. You got the plug there that you have to unplug. This just slides off, the cables, and then the actual alternator, you need to slide that cable off. You're going to have 12mm at the top there, you're going to have 12mm there, and 14mm at the bottom, and then technically it should come off. Right, so I'm going to try and get everything off now. The plug, you should just squeeze that in, and that should come off. There you go, so it's the plug off. 10mm now. Make sure you don't lose them, guys. There we are, that's off as well. By the way, while I'm doing this, guys, my battery is disconnected, just to let you know. Sorry if it's a bit too late, but yeah, make sure you disconnect the battery. Don't lose any of the bolts and screws. So get that cable off of there as well. Slide that off. There you go. Same with this one. You have to slide that off of there. There we are. I'll be able to get to that 12 at the top there that's held with the bracket there. So I'm going to get that off. That's that off. Now I can get the side one off. Might need. Oh, there you go. That's good. That wasn't too bad. Obviously, now I'm going to need to undo the 14 at the bottom. That's going to be a bit tight. There we are. There we are. So that's the long one out at the bottom. I'll just get that 12mm out completely. There we are. It's 12 out as well. So technically the alternator should come out now. It's going to be slightly stuck at the bottom there, but it should slide off. There you go. And that's the alternator off, guys. Right guys, with the alternator out of the way, I can show you now the two 10mm nuts that you have to remove in order to get the thermostat out of there. Right guys, so let's get the 10mm nuts off of there. And don't forget, you're going to probably leak a little bit of coolant out of there. So just make sure you got something catching that. Let's see if that comes undone. There you go, let's start coming undone. Let's get the stuff out of the way. And the same for that one. Probably going to need an extension. There we are. And at this stage, we should be able just to pull that off. There you go, it starts to come off. Lovely. Easy as that, guys. So there's your thermostat. Make a note how the old one's sitting in there. Just take it off. And you have to clean all the surrounding there. Make sure there's no rubbish there when you're putting the new one in. Right guys, so here we got the old thermostat and this is the new one. They pretty much the same make anyway. So the way it works, when it heats up to 82 degrees, that starts opening up, guys, and that's what's going to allow the coolant to circulate through. and then you obviously got that little valve there as well. And when you're fitting this back in, guys, I've noticed that this one hasn't been fitted in properly because it was sitting that way down. So this valve is supposed to be at the top, like at 12 o'clock when you're putting it back in, and that is important, guys. So make sure when you're fitting it back in, it sits with the valve at the top. Right, guys, so like I said, make sure you clean everything in there so the new seal is going to sit in there properly. There's no crap left in there. If you need, use a bit of sandpaper or something else just to clean all the rubbish off of there in case you got some rust or etc. And obviously have a look at the other side as well, at the housing that sits on it. That looks quite clean, so that's good. Put it out of the way for now and just double check that. I'm probably going to use a little blade to clean a bit of rubbish off. Right, guys, so that's all clean now. Make sure that the seal is on properly around the thermostat, that it's not going to leak or it's not folded anywhere. So that is on properly. I'm going to put it in there. Like I said, don't forget that that little valve needs to be at the top at 12 o'clock. There's a little mark there, so I'm going to put it where the mark is, and that seems to be sitting there perfectly. So it's all good. All we have to do now is put that back on there and get the two 10mm nuts. And the torque setting for the 10mm nuts is 10 Newton meters, guys. So just do them up slightly first. Make sure that everything's in place. Double check that the thermostat is sitting in properly. Do them up. And once you fill it up with coolant, don't forget to double check, guys. Obviously you have to put the alternator on, but you'll be able to see it if it's leaking or not after you got coolant in there. And obviously the other thing you have to check is when the temperature reached 80 to 90 degrees, that the hot water is circulating all around. Right, guys, so at this stage we're ready to put the alternator back in. So in my case, I'm obviously using the old one because there's nothing wrong with it. So you just slide it on at the bottom first. And turn it around, get the wiring out of the way. Go past the bracket. Lift it up a little bit. At this stage you can start the 14mm at the bottom there. Get it in there so it locates in properly. There you go. And also you can get the 12mm at the top there. Start that up as well. That's good. So I got that started there. Don't forget you got another 12 at the top there on the bracket. So get that started as well. And now all you have to do is do them up, guys, and obviously plug everything back on, which is what we're going to do now. Right, guys, so I've done up the 14 at the bottom tight. The 12 is done up here as well, and the 12 at the top is done up. So now we can plug all the wiring back on. Just slide it on there. Same with this one. It will lock in, and you got one at the bottom. Also, while you're here, you can plug your plug in. That's all good. And the last thing you got is your 10mm nut. They have to do it up. So you got the contact there. Just get the socket on there. Obviously you probably noticed that I got the air pump missing here. That's supposed to be in this area as well, but it's been removed by the previous owner, guys. So obviously that might be slightly in the way while you're doing this job. Put the cover back on there. So that's all good, and the alternator is secure now. All we got left is fit the auxiliary belt on. Right, once the alternator is secure, guys, now we can pull the tensioner again, release the pressure, and fit our auxiliary belt back on. If you got a new one, obviously fit the new one. Make sure you noted how it goes around everything. So I got it here now. All I have to do is pull on the tensioner, which is going to be very tight, like I've mentioned earlier. And try and get that back on the alternator. There you go, and then just release it, and be very careful with that, guys, because there's a lot of pressure on that tensioner. And that's the auxiliary belt back on, and the alternator job done, guys. Right guys, at this stage I haven't done the bolt that's holding the air filter on there to have a bit of space there so I can get the hose past it when I'm lifting the bottle up. So I'm gonna fill it with coolant, put as much coolant as I can, about 3.5-4 litres now. Don't forget to do the bleeder at the top there. There you go, so that's loose. And I'm gonna fill it up with coolant now. Obviously make sure that everything's done up and nothing's gonna leak. I think I probably will have to lift it up before I fill it up more. Let me just undo the nut properly. That's off now. And now we're gonna lift it up so it's above the engine. Get the hose out of there. And that one as well. At this stage you can undo the top part of the air box, but that's out of there now. So like I said, lift it up as much as you can, and you're going to see they're going to start going down. So just going to leave it here for a second and fill it up more. There we go guys, so keep topping it up. So we've probably got about 2.5 litres in there so far. You can always squeeze the coolant hose at the bottom there, and you see it's going to start going down, so just getting rid of the air as well. So obviously once you got as much coolant as you can down in there this way, you will have to start the car up afterwards and let the water pump start working and obviously warm up, and then put your heater on max, on hot, let that work as well while you're bleeding the system. Right guys, so I got probably at least 4 litres in there now. Another tip that I can give you is if you take completely your bleeder out of there, when you're squeezing your bottom coolant hose, the big hose, if you squeeze it in and then put your finger on there to close it while you're releasing the hose, it will help get rid of more air and bleeding it properly. Right guys, so the engine has been running. I've topped up the coolant while it was running, the fan kicked in. Obviously what you have to do now is put the bleeding plug back in and put the cap back on as well. Right guys, so I had it running now for another 10 minutes with the cap and the bleeder on. So everything's hot, the bottom hoses feel hot, the fan kicked in again. I'm just gonna check if the heater inside the car is blowing hot air, which I'm sure it will be. Yeah, that's very good, it's all hot as well. So it's brilliant. I can turn the car off now. And at this stage, we are ready, obviously, to leave it for 10 minutes to cool down. You see the level might change slightly, but I'm pretty sure you ain't gonna move a lot more from here. So like I said guys, this is pretty much the best way of bleeding this. Like I said, make sure that it is above the engine. Pull it as high as you can. Make sure you don't damage any of the hoses, because you got 3 hoses connecting to it. And as long as you follow all these steps guys, I'm pretty sure you're going to bleed your cooling system properly. When it's hot and running, don't forget also to check if you replace the thermostat. Check for any leaks there. Obviously check for the leaks on the bleeder that you got at the bottom there. Sorry, not the bleeder, but the drainer. And all the hoses, check for any leaks, but I'm sure it's going to be fine guys. And yeah, that's pretty much the part on the bleeding done now. Right guys, and the last thing I wanted to show you, obviously after changing the coolant, just to see how this tool works. Obviously we've got brand new coolant in there. Let's just get some of it out of there and see if all the discs going to stay up, because obviously that's the best result you can get. So let's just get more coolant in there. There we are, get rid of a bit of the air. And as you can see guys, I'm pretty sure the results are quite clear. All the discs are at the top, so the cooling performance is at its best. So I'm pretty happy with the result there guys. I think that's job well done, and the whole cooling system video I'm pretty sure is at the end now. Right guys, so here we are. I think this is going to be the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it guys. I'm pretty sure I covered everything coolant related today. If not, comment below and let me know if I missed something. So that way of bleeding the cooling system must be the best way, because that's obviously what the manual recommends at Toyota. So that's the way that I always done it as well, and it seems to work pretty well. I know some people try and jack the car up at the front, but like I said, this is the way that the manual is going to recommend you, and I'm sure that works fine. So once you've done the job, guys, don't forget obviously to check for any leaks, check that everything's done up. Also, don't forget to not open the cap when the car is hot and there's pressure in it, because it will burn you. And just be careful, guys, when you're doing the job. So yeah, if you enjoyed the episode, then please give us a subscribe, guys, and a like. And also don't forget to comment below to let me know what you think about it and what's the next episode that you're looking forward to. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for watching. Stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.